Welcome back to another episode of Black Ice Reality Check. I'm your host, Black Ice. This is a special guest we have, Janelle, who is a Tantric Sexpert specialist, aka Mama Bear, coin phrase by
Mama MILF.
Mama MILF.
Yeah.
I say Mama Bear. Adam Sosnick, that's his coin phrase.
We love Adam.
Before we start, make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, hit the bell for notification. And make sure you get a hold of HB Alpha. I take these before every podcast. And when I work in the morning, it's a nootropics that helps you focus, helps your brain, helps you get on point. Janelle, thank you for coming on the show after months of trying to get in touch with you, going back and forth.
We did it finally.
It was like six. I think we touched a base 6 months ago. Or
yeah, when I was out here for something else. And then we were trying to link up. Or no, I think I was going to Miami and I don't know, something.
Get the mic. The mic.
My bad. So yeah, I think we've been trying to connect for a minute.
And then you said you're on your way out here and you weren't on your way out here and you were working on a schedule. And I thought you were in Florida, but you're in Newport area.
Yeah,
right?
I'm in Newport. I'm just on Adam's show a lot.
Adam, you thief. So can you tell people exactly what it is you do? And you're a professional at what you do.
Thank you.
You're good at what you do. It is a serious craft and art and profession. How do you help people? What is it you do? Can you explain that to people?
That's a great question. Yes, it is a serious art and craft. I love that you said that. I think it's safe to say that today, a lot of people are dissatisfied in their relationships and their intimate sex life. Either they're not getting enough of it, they're not in one, or they're really just miserable in the marriage or long-term that they've been in. And there's a lot of content out there about how to fix it, what to do. And what I do is basically, I'm a sexual energy master. So I teach people how to balance sexual polarity. Now, a lot of people are like, well, what's that? It's what made you attracted to your partner, your wife, your husband in the first place. And as we know, relationships don't end for lack of love. They end for lack of sexual polarity. You might love your wife who you have kids with, but not want to fuck her. But there's a problem, right? So this is tricky. And I studied with my masters. My lineage goes back over 4,000 years. So we take a practice that deals with the science of sexual polarity, and we turn it into something that's applicable for the modern person.
You have.
So it's alchemy, essentially.
So you have books out as well, right?
Yeah, I have a book coming out. It's called Unfuck Your Sex Life.
I like it.
Unleashing Passion and Intimacy for an Orgasmic Relationship.
So it's interesting because I have this, I'm as a guy, I just say it the way it is. But what I've noticed in the past, because every guy was any guy that's in their muscle game and frame, right, and money, we all were simps at one point in life. We had to figure it out, right? There was no like connect the dots. There was no, growing up, there was no, hey, figure it out. You had to figure it out. There was no book. There was no internet. There was nothing like that. No cheat code. But one of the things I see a lot of guys have a problem with is when you're dating a girl you don't really know, you're willing to try more sexual things.
Yeah.
But then when you're with a girl you're with for a while and she says, what are you into? Men are afraid to tell them because they don't want to be embarrassed or judged by that woman.
Yeah.
And I make the joke. I said, everything but midgets is a go and another guy, right? Yeah. It's a joke, but not. But it's funny because when guys have affairs or they cheat or they have the one night stands and they'll try anything, right? Yeah. But then when they're with their one they love, they're like, oh, no, I can't let her know I like this. Why is that?
Well, that's a great question. It really goes down to the basics of what I do, which is this work is really a personal development path. Intimacy is an inside job, I like to say, pun intended, if you will. And most people can't be vulnerable, present, and intimate with themselves, let alone with a sexual partner. So it's not going to work. People say they want lasting, passionate, orgasmic relationships, but they don't even like or love themselves. They don't even know how to make themselves come or have an orgasm. So the reason why that happens is Familiarity. Can I say that word correctly?
I think that's yeah.
Did I say
I know
that?
what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It breeds a few things. It breeds sometimes comfort, but it also breeds discomfort in a way, like you get used to your wife. For instance, if you were married, things get monotonous, things get boring and dull, and you sort of get used to that person being more of a roommate than someone who ignites your sexual passion or flame or desire. And then a lot of other times with men, they'll look at the woman, the long-term partner, as the mother of their children, possibly. Things like that also play a part. Like, yeah, I don't want to do this dirty, quote, dirty or like strange fetish with, I can't tell my kid's mom that. Like,
right.
They see it's like that mother, that maiden and that whore sort of debacle. And
Right.
so they will, this is oftentimes one of the reasons why men will cheat, is because they love their wife or their long-term partner, but they don't see them in that light. They've lost that sexual polarity, like I said in the very beginning. And remember, everything in this world atrophies. Just like if you don't work out, you might have muscles for a while because you've created muscle memory, but over time that will diminish. It's the same thing with your relationship.
Does the penis atrophy too?
The penis does atrophy.
Oh shit.
And that's why, I teach things in my practice, like, jelking, and I work with doctors who encourage, P shots and stims, things like that to help.
What do you mean P shots?
The P shot is a shot that is shot into your penis. It's stem,
what?
Yeah, it's stem cells, and you can mix it with a cocktail of Botox that actually.
Wow, that just sounds like it's gonna hurt.
I think there is, there's a little bit of discomfort.
Oh my
involved.
gosh, it's interesting. I wanted to go somewhere with. When I see a lot of the people in the red pill, and I don't know if you want to call me red pill or not. Whatever, I don't care. They're like, oh, the virgin. I never wanted a virgin because of that reason. Right. I didn't want a girl that'd been out there so much, especially nowadays. What's funny is because every time you connect, we're all in the podcasting industry.
Yeah.
You have a profession. I'm in the tech space. I have a supplement company, but we're all doing something. So when we connect, like, oh, you're with Adam. Oh, so-and-so, we're all connected. Yeah. But when you're out here, I call it on the streets, and you meet someone and you connect with their Instagram.
Yeah.
You see all the people they're connected to, right?
Correct. And
the first thing I do is take a step back, going, oh my gosh, this woman, she knows 50 of these guys from the gym, right? So when I was, when I was out there dating, I didn't want a girl that had no experience.
Correct.
But I also didn't want a girl that, I've been to Dubai. Oh, I've been to Playa del Carmen. Yeah. Oh, she's been alpha widowed, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And so I like the experience. So we were talking earlier about we want a woman that looks like a porn star, but she can be domesticated. Yeah. But you want to get her before she was that experienced. Yeah. So do you see a lot of guys struggle with this when they say, because, you see all these guys, I want a girl that has, has been with two guys. It's like, well, has she got the experience?
Yeah, I think, okay. One thing I want to touch on that I think is really important on the previous question. Another major reason, and then I'll get to the second one, is that men don't feel comfortable sharing these sexual fantasies is because of shame. Sexual shame is the biggest killer of all relationships. And this is a huge problem. If you think back to your first moment of masturbation or self-practice, self-pleasure, as I like to call it, most of the time it wasn't pleasant. It was rushed. It was in private, or even your first time.
It was quick.
Correct. And so the collective subconscious programming coming from religious dogma, and et cetera, realizing how powerful sex was, they want to control it.
Right.
So men and women have shame around sex, period, the end. And so when you're with someone that you love and that you've built a life with and you have a child with, it almost feels like even worse to share that with them because they know you so intimately. You feel like you'll be judged. And the greatest fear as human beings we have is that we won't be enough and that we won't be loved. So if you tell a fantasy to the girl of the hour, the flavor of the week, she doesn't care. She'll probably never see you again. If you tell it to your significant other, there could be a real a pain that's involved because she could judge you.
It's interesting too, because being here in Vegas, running into all these people. First of all, I think it's a bad place to find a relationship or be in a relationship. Vegas. You lived here at one point, right?
It's the understatement of the year.
Okay, so I don't know why people come on podcasts. If you're a single guy, you should come to Vegas. Like, what are you talking about? Why? But you'll talk to these gals, and they're telling you about their ex-boyfriend or why they broke up. Oh, because he was into this. Is the shame.
Yeah.
And I'm going, dude, first of all, why are you throwing this guy's laundry out?
Yeah.
Second of all, that makes a guy not even want to tell his woman what he's into. But it's interesting, as you build, as a man grows, and we teach them how to, build themselves up. And once men realize their value at where they're at in their sexual marketplace value, I tell the guys, just tell them everything. Don't be afraid. Men are so afraid for the girl to walk away or the woman to walk away. Oh, she's hot. I don't want her to know. Tell her. Yeah. So I told these guys, when I was dating, I've been with a gal for a while, but when I was out there, I said, I only date women who like other women. I was just joking.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at me. Oh, I'd never do that. And I didn't care, but I wasn't really looking anyway. So it's like, whatever. Right. Not that we're into that, but the point is that I see right now a lot of relationships. I was at the bar here at the restaurant here at the Venetian. I was talking with a couple, and I just brought on another podcast. Very high value guy, young guy, millionaire. She's a cute little Latina girl. And I was bringing up situations, and he'd seen my podcast, and she was looking at him. You like that? And he was laughing. And I was like, why wouldn't you want to do that for him? Oh, I'm not into that. I wouldn't do that. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Why are women so afraid to experiment with their man?
Yeah.
And or just not experiment, but experiment with them with another woman?
Yeah. Well,
2 questions.
Yeah. I mean, you asked such a great question previously, so
I want to answer that one first. Sorry.
And then we'll do that. No, you're really good questions. The thing with the body count is exasperatingly annoying at this point to me. Men say, oh yeah, I would 50 body count. I wouldn't. If she was in your room with you and she was decent looking, you're not going to turn down sex. Now, whether you want to wife this person up, that's all contingent upon.
That's facts.
Yeah, that's facts.
I
a
agree
lot
with
of guys
that.
say, oh, I wouldn't. No, you'll hit most things. Or if you're lucky enough to have sex, because we know most men aren't in that category of being able to have regular sex. So, but when you're talking about women's body count, this has like really been a detriment, I think, for women, because you have really good women who are like, oh my God, I don't know, like I've never thought about it before, and are really freaking out about like if they're going to get a man. And I'm like, listen, I'm all about women staying pure and not just giving their body away for fun. Like, you should be concerned about who you let inside of your most sacred place, the place where God lives. And if you're not, then there's a myriad of things that can happen. Yes, let's acknowledge that. However, I don't think it's right for men in red pill to say, oh, women with a body count or done, or Pearl, who's a former colleague, if you will, of mine, who says single mothers should stay with the father of the child forever, and if they don't, their life is over. And it's hilarious to me that these children, and Pearl is a child still, want to give advice on issues that they've never encountered or experienced.
Well, there's also the thing where children that grow up in not a nuclear family have a higher risk of going to jail, getting in trouble.
Some children, look at some of our greatest parents from some of the greatest, some most successful men in entertainment have come from single mothers.
But that's an exception now, because the numbers, I'm not disagreeing with you, but the majority, I understand what she was saying, but I get where you're going.
But she's saying an absolute. And when it comes to, like I said, she's never been married or had children.
Right.
Or been in a committed long-term relationship. I mean, I think she dated that TikTok influencer for a while, but like that was whatever. Obviously,
but
like you can't talk about, you don't know until you're a mom, until you've been in a situation where you have a child, and there's factors that are outside of your control on whether or not you're able to keep that relationship together.
But also as a father too, right? Because most of the men aren't the ones leaving, which is a fact.
It depends on what demographic you're talking about. When you talk about African American men, no disrespect, like
80% of the Black women leave the marriage. 80%.
Marriage. Okay, so we're talking marriage here. I'm talking about, because yes, marriage is obviously what we're vying for, but that's not
facts.
Look at the world we live in today, when we have Fresh and Fit who are telling men, get a 50 women under your belt and then make a ton of money and then settle down and have. So we know people are having children out of wedlock. And what is frustrating to me is that these red pill men that have these huge stances on bashing single mothers or women who have high body counts are the ones that are effing these women and are the ones that are knocking these children, these women up and not staying with them.
But don't you think it's them holding them accountable to like long-term relationships? Because for me, my mindset is, hey, I see women that I know right away, there's no way I'd want a relationship with.
Of course.
But I'd sleep with her. But I'm not going to get her pregnant either.
But it still happens, darling. You might be responsible.
Sure. But whose fault is that?
Well, here's the thing. It's two people. And the problem that I have, and I've argued this with my dear friend and colleague Keith Mitchell, who's ex-NFL player who teaches my retreats. He was talking about all the single mothers and raising beta women. And I said, wait a minute, Keith. Okay, but whose fault is that really? Why are they a single mom? Where are the men? Why are they not? And I'm not talking about marriages. I'm talking about these women that are being knocked up by the men who you're telling to go out and get 50 body counts before you find a wife.
Well, I've never heard anybody say get 50 body counts.
Donovan talks about you have to have 50. You have to have 50 women. Is it Myron?
Okay, I didn't hear him say it. But
Donovan said it at CME
but
too.
But the women are controlling that. It's up to them unless they're being raped.
No, it is up to the women as well too. But what I'm saying is it has to be an egalitarian level standard.
But egalitarian doesn't
work
when
we're talking about holding people accountable, because women, you're right, should close their legs, but it takes two people to get someone pregnant. You have 2 children. I have 1.
Right. But
so you have.
I don't necessarily agree 100%.
It doesn't take 2 people to get someone pregnant.
It does. I agree with that. Of course it does.
I'm like, okay,
no, of course. I'm not one of those
like,
loony laughs. No.
I'm like, come on.
I'm saying when it comes to that, the woman makes the decision. Now,
she does make a decision.
Now, he's not being responsible. I agree with that.
Correct. Now, he doesn't have to You're right. He does not have to stay.
Right. True.
Correct. That's his decision.
So my belief is, I do tell men to wait till they're at their value before they settle down. I'm not telling them to go out and bang a bunch of chicks. I never said that.
This is also a very poorly constructed concept, I believe. The most successful men on the planet, when you talk about the Bill Gates of the world, the Elon Musk, the Mark Zuckerberg, the Jeff Bezos of the world,
all exceptions of the rule,
and on, they had a ride or die bitch by their side. Now, maybe they have gotten divorced since then, which many of them have.
And all
but
simps.
In building their business, they had a ride or die. Look at
Elon's been with Elon.
I know
Bill,
he has multiple children,
and Bill was seeing his ex girlfriend, right?
But what I'm saying is, when they're coming up and building, and some of my billionaire mentors who I follow have had one woman with multiple children, and that woman
there's
was
nothing
the
wrong with that,
backbone of that family, and that rise up.
But I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling men to wait till you. Here's the problem with guys.
Yeah.
Guys are so focused on women that they don't take care of themselves and do what they need to do. That's why I said, wait till you get closer to your peak. You don't need to be getting married at 28 when you don't even have your shit together, because most men don't have their shit together. Most men
don't. That's true.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm not going against I'm saying is, look, hey, I met this girl. I said, dude, you're 28 years old. You have not stamped your name in the star on Hollywood, right? You haven't.
Correct.
You have a bamboo foundation. It's going to fall apart. You don't have a concrete foundation, right?
But that's where having skin in the game is my point. It's like these guys are saying, like the Fresh and Fits of the world and the Meyer, all this, they're saying, wait till you get all that money, all those bitches, then find a 20-some-year-old virgin. It's like asinine.
But I wouldn't date a 20-year-old girl in the first place.
Case in point is, you always will question if that woman was really with you because she loved you or because you came up and had money. And I'm not saying that men should forgo their purpose, because their purpose is this calling in this life for a woman, but they should be with a woman and still remain dedicated to that purpose. And if that woman leaves because he is so focused on that purpose, then she wasn't a ride or die
Right,
in the first place.
but reality in the world we live in,
most women will leave. You're right.
they will leave, and to get what you need to get done, to be the provider and protector, especially where you live, it isn't $100K. It's $250 minimum. You know this.
Trust me, I know.
Right. So that's why I tell these guys, like, a guy calls me, he's in Anaheim, Orange County. Not the good part, right?
No,
you're in Newport, but
there's
still
Anaheim Hills. It's a nice area.
And I said, look, man, you're trying to date these women, and at the end of the day, $100K, you're at poverty there.
It is $100,000 is poverty level in Newport Beach.
Here you're doing really well.
Here you're doing well. In Texas, you're doing well.
Yeah.
But then I tell people, you're living in Texas, bro. Like,
right. But the point is, like, and I don't want to speak for every woman out there or every couple, but a lot of the dreams are, I want to have traditionally.
I know.
I want to have children.
Shifting.
It is shifting.
Unfortunately.
I want to have children. I want to be, I want to raise my children and not a daycare. I want my grandparents to be grandparents, not daycare.
Yeah.
To do that, that guy's got to have something together, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm focused on. I'm not saying that you both can't have a career. I'm not saying that, you can't get married when you're younger, but I see what's out there, and 13% of men make $112K a year.
Yeah.
Single guys. So if you look at it from that perspective and go, well, they're not living in, if they're living in San Francisco or LA, they're broke.
They're broke.
Or Seattle, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't know Seattle was like
Seattle is, this is the thing people don't realize about Seattle, is a mixture of the Bay, Silicon Valley, and LA all in one.
Sounds like a terrible place. I will not be visiting.
And 100K is poverty level there now.
It is. I mean, it's poverty level in OC either. I feel like what makes me sad, because I see this in my practice, is that these men who have a lot of money and who have a lot of wealth and who have a lot of affluence, and they just are dying for intimacy. They are lonely. And it's not like, they can go get sugars and all that and do that game. But it's like the meaning and purpose of life is not how much money you have.
Nope.
It's the quality of your relationships and your emotional state day to day.
And to leave a legacy with your children, have children, I believe, right? Because you can make money and just, like I told the gal today, she's like, oh, I'm fine being a single. I don't need kids, blah, blah, blah. I'm happy. I said, yeah, all you are is a taxpayer for the government. There's no joy in that, whether you're in a relationship or not and have children, right? But the other thing, like you said, these guys, you brought up Bezos, you brought up Musk, well, they have a lot of money. They're also beta men. They have no skill set. So these guys that make,
I don't know if that's fair to say that these men don't have skill set. Darling.
Okay, let me explain something to you. And I go through this well, not at you, but for you. Jeff Bezos, okay, is not the most attractive dude in the world.
No.
Okay, if he was working at 7-Eleven, he wouldn't be with that Latina girl. He paid $38 billion to.
But shout out to him for dating an age appropriate woman.
Okay, right. But the point is he doesn't have that skill set. He's good at making money. Yeah. He doesn't. So not Bezos, but let's say it wasn't Bezos, but it was the same guy, the same face, and he made $300,000 a year. Well, and he's lonely. He's looking for intimacy. He's not going to find it. He has no skill set. He has no ability.
All of them have to pay. I understand that because, it's no secret. Like, I dated athletes. I've been lucky enough to date athletes my entire life. I just got blessed with it. And I will say this for my haters. A lot of them are like, oh, you won't date short white guys or whatever. And here's the thing.
You have a preference.
I do have a preference.
There's nothing wrong with that.
People have preference. But I will say, in regards to being a single mom, I was like, okay, I need to do the right thing here. And I met someone very affluent in the NLP world. He works on Tony Robbins' stage. He's on stage more than Tony. He's a PhD neuropsychologist. He was
smart guy,
very smart. He was Black. He was about 5'9", and he made a shit ton of money, had a shit ton of influence. And I met him and we connected after the show, after Tony's event. We were both flying back to Orange County, right? And I met him first and I just thought, this would be a great networking opportunity. And this was about 4 years ago. And we developed a friendship, and then we started dating. We dated for a year. And I learned so much in that time. And I told myself, Janelle, you need to think about your son. You need to not be focused on sex and what you're sexually attracted to, even though I know how sexual polarity works. You need to focus on hypergamy, what everyone else, every other woman I know does. They date men with a credit card, right? Or some level of affluence. And so that's what I did. And it did not work simply because he did want to marry me, but he did not want to have more children as he was going to retire. He was 60. Now he's, I think, pushing 70.
You want to have more children?
I want to have more. I will have more children, at least one, maybe two. And I'm doing it naturally. I've never had my eggs frozen, and I will. You can stay tuned for results. But the point is, I did try to forego my beliefs and my desires because I wasn't like crazy sexually attracted to him. But I had to
got done. I'm like, I know I'm experienced. That was horrible. And then, you know what I mean? But there's also that different connection that you talk about, sexual polarity, right? Yeah. That you brought up. But I think, the natural instinct is the resources. I don't want to say, hypergamy, but you want that stability is what I should say.
The stability. And I think I would be interested to see studies on, I'm not as much as a researcher as a lot of people, although I do know some facts because I do so much personal development work and I work with doctors and psychologists and things of that nature. I would be curious to see the demographics in regards to race of women that are more hypergamist versus, like, for me, for instance, I look for stature and creating the tallest, biggest gene in the gene pool for me. And I'm Moroccan and Mexican. I don't know what it means. I don't look necessarily for the credit card.
Well, but that's part of the biology that, and I always bring this up, and Glenn just hammered me on it.
What is it?
Dr. David Buss. I know Michael brings it up, but that book, The Evolution of Desire. Yes. Have you read that at all? That book's pretty interesting, but it talks about the natural instinct, and he did like 10,000 people he spoke with, and then over 5 years his team. Yeah. Now it's outdated. It's 1994 copyright.
A lot of those are, though. A lot of the good ones are.
It's interesting that he said naturally women will look for the biggest, strongest, brightest, most resources. Yes. Because inherently back in the days, they wanted to secure their longevity and security for their children. And so it's wired in you to do that. So while you say the credit card, you don't need it, I believe you, but you're still looking for that statue.
I'm looking for that. I mean, my son's almost 5 feet. His dad, he's going to play basketball. He's 8.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that men have. And I'm not saying this is with you. So because you're a specialist in what you do, the guys I talk to, it's not so much that the red pill says, oh, she's got a kid. The problem with men being with a woman with a child is that a lot of times, and I'm not saying this is you, when it gets down to the serious relationship, you live together or whatever, they're not going to put the man before their child.
Well, yeah, but that's most women. Then I'm not most women.
Right. So you're the exception.
I'm always the exception.
Right. So
people get mad at me, but I'm like,
no. But you see the challenge that guys have, right? Yeah. And
I will say one thing real quick before you finish that.
Go ahead.
I will put the man before when he has proven to be that divine masculine presence. I'm not doing that when we first meet.
No. And I would say it'd have to be serious where you guys live together. He's leveled
up and he's shown me
but he's not, but you guys won't live together until he's proven. And you've proven to him that you're worthy.
Absolutely.
And so once you move in together, and he's got a relationship with his
my son, and I want him to see that as and which, my previous relationship, he did, and he looked up to him, and he's like, I care about him, and I want my son to listen to him and to see him as that masculine presence and energy, that divine stability, unshakable, unfuckwithable energy. Like, I want that to come from him. And if I were to usurp that, authority and say, yeah, no, listen to me. You can't, like some women, you can't talk to my son like that. Then that totally crumbles any hierarchy in the system. And I know Destiny argues with this, that everyone's a team and we all just
no,
team
that
up.
doesn't,
It's like,
that doesn't
no,
work. That doesn't work. And he doesn't have kids. So
who are you leading?
Oh, he does?
Yes, he does. He has a son that's, he has a son who's my age. And when I asked
wait.
maybe 10 or something. I don't know.
Oh, you say he has a son that's your age. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute.
My son,
that's my
son's age. I'm so sorry.
I'm like, how old is this dude?
And when I asked him in the first debate I did with him, when I was totally under the weather and I had to debate him and this other chick at the same time who he didn't tell me was going to be on because he was like afraid of me or something. I asked him, he won a lot of the points, but I slayed the interview with this point only. He said he wished or his life would have been better if his son had not been born. And I quote,
oh my God,
he would have been more successful.
Now here's the thing. Can you imagine if his son sees that?
He basically, because I said,
that is horrible.
You can't possibly tell me as a father that you would have wished that your son wouldn't have been here today after having him. Well, no, that's not true. I couldn't say that. Maybe I would have. I was like,
bro, I don't know this dude.
I won.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know this dude, but that's a horrible human being.
I won the whole interview.
And
everyone says I got smoked in that. I said, no, that comment right there just disproved his humanity.
How do you say that about your own blood child?
He said, well, I could have probably been more successful and I could have maybe helped more people. I'm like, can you define this help?
Now,
you are talking about a guy that thinks that child pornography should be like a thing. So
okay, I never knew that.
I don't even want to go. Yeah,
I'm just saying. This is the guy.
Now, I'm not defending the guy, but I think maybe what he was trying to say is if it was just himself, maybe. But for him to say no, right. But for him to say
children,
yeah,
you have to say my life is exponentially better because of my son.
Oh yeah, but that's the purpose.
Me create.
That's my purpose, is to have children and make sure that they become better than I am. Yeah.
I tell my son all the time, I am the
woman I think he misused the words. I can't believe a person would say that.
Go back and watch them. Go to the very end and you'll see.
That's horrible.
I was shocked. I was like, who is...
Wow. So
how did I get involved in?
Glenn, do you have any questions or topics you want me to bring up with Janelle? I'm not running out of questions. Glenn has some good input. Questions.
I like Glenn.
So Janelle.
Yes.
Glenn, you like him right now. Wait till he starts talking.
I know. I just like people that can.
I like Coco better.
That can think for themselves. Coco seems sweet.
She is a deer.
That's the best part of the relationship.
And she has a great name, so I love it.
So Janelle, let's talk about submission.
Okay.
Because you brought up a point here. You said that you wouldn't get with the guy, or you wouldn't give him that position until you proved it, right? So when in the relationship, let's say a man and woman get together and now they're living together.
Yes.
I kind of believe that role of submission it happens when you decide to live with the person. Like it's like even without you're not being married, but you're already playing that role. So that submissive role needs to take place. You don't need to wait to the vows. Now, some women would be like, well, we're living together and we're still trying to fill things out. So he's not my husband yet, so I don't have to submit to him. What do you say to that?
I mean, it's just really ignorant thinking, because if you want the idea of a husband, you have to play the part as a wife. Like, I can say all I want and this is true, this is facts. I want my own television show like Dr. Ruth meets Esther Perel. And I can say that all day, but I'm not going to get in front of any cameras or do any kind of coaching or consulting with couples around sex. I'm just going to wait till the show comes and then I'll start doing that work.
It's funny you said
that. Makes absolutely zero sense. Like it is just non-logical thinking, which is very much so what women do, because we are more emotional. We're more right brain. We don't think logically. We just want a man to do a bunch of shit for us and then be like, okay, I think that this might be the one now. And then half the time women will just play a role in order to get a ring. And then once they get the ring, it's like they're acting, they're an actress, they're like performing for a role. And then once they get the leading role, the wife, they're like, all right, I don't have to do this shit anymore.
And the most ignorant statement is, I said, well, you submit to your boss. Well, he's giving me money. He pays me. Well, so does your freaking husband. You
Well,
know,
yeah.
and they don't get that. They don't understand that.
I think that, and this is my personal experience. I was a former exotic dancer. I have a crazy story of my life and how I overcame a lot of stuff. I got caught up with the wrong people. I had a pimp. I'm very open about my past because I like to say where I came and where I am now
Sure.
and what I do for humanity. I have a nonprofit that works with victims of human trafficking to use holistic rehabilitation to help them get their life back. So I saw a lot of women in the industry. 10 years. I worked at Spearmint Rhino. I'm very honest about John Christo. I know him well. I'm so curious if he ever has seen my things.
He's still there.
His number. I'm sure he is. I'm very honest, and people I think don't like me because I'm so honest. I don't have anything.
But that's
to
good
hide.
because you made a choice to change, and you're not hiding.
No,
and that's the best part about that is nobody can say, "Oh, you know what she used to do."
No, someone tried to blackmail me once and said something, and I said, "Dude, I'm all over the internet. Like, I don't care. Literally, I don't care." But I think it was interesting because we would see women who would get out of stripping and they would get a guy to take them out of the club. We'd be like, where's Candy? I don't see her anymore. Oh, Candy's gone now. She's retired. She got a guy to pay for everything. I'm like, that's interesting. So she went from working 9 to 3 to working 12 to 12, essentially. Meaning if a guy is paying for you to be out of the club, you're now working for him full time. You now become his sex slave or whatever he wants to. You didn't get out of the life.
Well,
you just got a full-time job.
But if you have a living girlfriend or a wife and you're taking care of them,
I'm referring more to like this was like the sugar daddy type of vibe where these men were taking the girls out and they were now getting a life and all they had to do is service them. And so they're like, oh, she got out of the life. I'm like, no, she didn't. She's just now on the clock 24/7.
Yeah, because I've said this, like, look, if you have to negotiate sex with your wife, you just got a familiar hooker.
Yeah, it's like before you went and you're stripping from 9 to 3, but now you have to be able to strip and have sex from 12 to 12 because this guy is paying. You have nothing now. And you, at any point, he could kick you out, which we'd always see it happen. We'd see these women come back 6 months, a year later. Hey, I'm back. What happened? It didn't work out. Oh, really?
So when I tell guys that I don't believe in the way that not modern marriage, I believe in modern marriage, but with the government, like they need to revisit this.
Yeah.
So I'm not a believer of the contract, but however,
you mean
with the state,
marriage, okay.
Right? However, what I do say is that if you're going to live together and be married, you go have the ceremony.
Yeah.
You don't do the contract. Put her in a trust.
Yeah.
Give her something to fall back on. But the contracts with the government now with marriage is between the person A, the husband, and the government, and then person B, the government and the wife. Those are so scary for a lot of men.
It's very scary.
And I'm not saying that women shouldn't have some security either.
They should, because a lot of women, even though women we know do file, a lot of women will stay in situations because they frankly don't have anything else. They gave their life to a man. They had children with him. And if you're a mom, you know how hard it is to take care of a child and a family. Is it rewarding? Absolutely. I had my son naturally. I would do it 10 million times over. I had him naturally. I breastfed him for an extremely uncomfortable amount of time that I won't disclose because I get so much shit for it. I made all his own food. He never had a bottle. He never had a pacifier. He never had a blanket. He never had anything that he drug around. I was his emotional support.
I was like Linus. My godmother still has a little square of my blanket. I chewed the thing to death. She's like, "This is your little blanket." I wouldn't go anywhere without that thing. I was like Linus.
My son never had any of that, which means he's very emotionally stable. And a lot of that was from the breastfeeding and the attachment parenting, which I did. But I did all that while being a full-time student and while starting my business. And I think that women make excuses. They pick and choose the hard behavior they want to do. For instance, I said on my threads the other day, women will complain about, I tried breastfeeding for a month. It didn't work out. However, it was too painful. But they'll get BBLs, breast implants, Botox, laser, microneedling, all the other things they do, which have tremendous amounts of pain as well. But they won't endure the pain of breastfeeding.
So you're saying it's like, you know what? They're saying, you know what? Screw my kid. Let me give them some Infamil and some powder, right? And then, you know, something that's not natural. But, you know, I'm going to stick all this unnatural stuff in me, right?
Correct.
So
and no shade to any woman who honestly, legitimately couldn't produce milk. Bless you for trying. I'm never shading people who there's a medical reason or something. Obviously, that's a different story.
So I want to ask you this. In marriage, you know, when you say these women that are leaving, right? Do you believe that they should stay in a marriage? Because I believe marriage is about honor and duty and responsibility. Now, what do you say to women when they say they fell out of love? What do you say about that? Do you support a woman saying, I just wasn't in love anymore, so I left?
No. I mean, here's the thing. It goes back to the breastfeeding thing. Like, good things take, I don't like the word work, but they take effort and they take commitment. They take amounts of relationships that take a few things. There's obviously emotional intimacy, shared values, mutual respect, and most important, sexual polarity. If you don't have those components, a relationship will just not work. You might have one, sexual polarity, someone you just fuck. You might have shared values and emotional intimacy with wifey, but you don't want to fuck her. It's not going to work.
What if they say they fell out of love, so they stopped having sex?
It's not an excuse. A lot of women think that I'm wrong for this, but I feel like it should be a contractual agreement when you talk about marriage and things like that, where a woman is obligated to have sex with her husband as long as it's done in a respectful, mutually beneficial way that's benefiting both parties. At all times on both parts, we're both working together. And if she doesn't do that for 90 days or more, like that continues for 90 days or more, then he has grounds to divorce her without like call. Obviously, he has to take care of his children and things like that. Here's why. And this is excluding having children, having hysterectomies, having your cycle, illness. Like, we're talking things that really, I'm not talking about a headache. And a lot of women use it as an excuse.
You're talking about like something that's not a choice.
It's not a choice.
Yeah.
And for some women, their period, because their hormones are imbalanced and they don't know how to do it, which is something I specialize in, is very painful, and they don't want to have sex on it. So despite those things, if a woman isn't meeting her husband's sexual needs, I think that there should be some kind of repercussion for that, simply because you guys have to get up and go to work every single day, regardless of getting your needs met. And for a man's needs, his top need, other than his commitment to a higher power, is sex. It's sex. You guys need sex like you need oxygen. Women need to be seen. They need to be loved, and they need to know, they need to be seen, most importantly, and they need to be loved and protected.
Do you feel, I feel that a lot of women don't, you know, a lot of these men go to these male clinics because they get TRT, right? When you're older. I feel a lot of women don't address that, because a lot of women don't realize that they do need testosterone when they get older. Are you seeing a lot of women that aren't addressing their hormones as they get older?
They have to.
But do you see that when you talk to women?
A lot of women's, their sex drive just plummets, especially if they're not in the gym. And I'm not for, no disrespect to bodybuilder women. I think it's a huge amount of tremendous dedication and very masculine energy and qualities that takes to get your body that way. I do not advocate for that. I actually find it a little bit repulsing. I'm sorry, that's just my preference, because it's too masculine. And men, and I used to hate it because.
Well, what about bikini competitors?
I think that's the fine line
or wellness girls.
It's a fine line.
When
you start looking more muscular or highly, highly defined like a man, you know what? My best compliments comes from men who tell me, you're so nurturing, you're so feminine, and you're so soft. And I used to hate it when they'd say I'm soft, because I would work so hard just to get a little tone.
But I don't take muscles as masculine. I take it as a way of behavioral issue.
I think that when it gets to that point where it's, and you know what I'm talking about, a lot of influencers, this is just me personally. I'm really about creating that sexual polarity
Mm-hmm.
of very feminine women and very masculine men, and strong muscles, strong. You know how much testosterone it takes to get that kind of muscle.
Right, but I
dear.
like it when girls work out. I like it when they're fit.
I'm not saying I work out, but do I look like
No, I want to see definition. I want to see that's my preference.
That's your preference. Right. I'm saying that I think this has gotten a little bit out of control in the bodybuilding community where women look like men, and it's
now that part I don't,
shocking.
and that's when I talk to these.
You're saying you don't want women walking around looking cock diesel.
And you know that it's changing their hormones.
Oh yeah,
100%. That much muscle,
100%.
Even that bikini line, it's just very fine line. And then their things start changing. They start getting little tiny penises.
That's when they're taking testosterone.
I know that, but a lot of these women they're taking Anavar. They're taking certain things.
Well, Anavar test will make that happen. Anavar is so mild that it's not going to.
Talking about the micro penis.
Yeah,
yes,
that's gonna be.
And listen, a lot of women already have that naturally, and they get surgery, and then you're taking all these hormones to pump that more. A lot of women have extended lips, and a lot of labiaplasty is a very trending.
That's not the.
No, but I'm saying that that's the labia minora or majora. It could be either one, but the clitoris is a different story. I'm saying that a lot of women even have naturally a bigger clitoris. It could be something that happened when the XY chromosome split. And that's what the tip of the head of the penis is the same as the clitoris, right? That. Which is why I discourage women from having clitoral orgasms. I don't have those.
But women can have 3 types of orgasms.
No, 11, darling.
11?
Yes.
Okay, so anal, clitoral, vaginal, and what else?
Earl.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
No. Educate me because now I sound stupid because the layman's
zones.
Hold on. So for the average Joe, we're thinking in terms of like basic bitch level.
Which
we're
one
like,
did you say again?
I said, as far as I knew, women can have a vaginal, a clitoral, and an anal orgasm. And you're saying there's 11.
There's 11.
Wait, tell me what the 11 are.
Hold on, this goes into it. Does it work with the erogenous zones, like the 7 or 6 erogenous zones?
The erogenous zones is something different as well. I can't tell you all 11. You got to come do some work with me. If you find my content, you'll see them spattered, or come retrieve.
Okay, that's fair. But are those the basic ones that everybody's familiar with?
Those are the most common ones. But but you did something very broad. You said vaginal. There is so much to the vagina, and we call it yoni in Sanskrit, that people are not familiar. When you say vaginal, what are you referring to?
Inside the vagina.
Correct. But there's
okay.
I understand.
I know where that is.
But darling, what I'm saying is there's multiple places inside of the vagina that you can have.
Okay, so I'm categorizing those multiple places inside the vagina as one, but now there's more in there. But when I look at it,
there's a lot more, and it's a huge difference if you're having an entrance orgasm versus a deep internal.
Okay, but are they both in the vagina?
No, one's out, one's in. And what I'm saying
if they're out, they're outside. They're in the. I can't believe we're talking about
or the entrance. No, I can't.
That's the entrance, but is the entrance part of the vagina?
Well, it is, but it's also it is also not. But this is you say, oh, it's all the same. No, it's not. You ask a woman.
This is like Dexter's Laboratory. I'm not hating on you, but
listen,
she's like
darling,
the flux capacitor. And
no,
like,
you ask a woman who's had a clitoral orgasm versus a uterine orgasm, night and fucking day, darling.
Oh yeah,
your life will change with a uterine orgasm. A clitoral orgasm.
Okay, can you answer me this question? Yeah. Inside, emotional damage. Inside, I'm having fun with you.
No.
Inside, there's multiple spots,
multiple types of.
Okay.
That a lot of men don't know and will never know and will never be able to
solve. So I got to get your book, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to get your book. You got to sign your book, though.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to read this book. See, I'm not afraid to read shit because I think a lot of people don't want to investigate. And I'm not investigating to see if you're wrong. I want to learn so I have more arrows in the quiver to equip myself. So when somebody says there's 3, it's like technically there's 11, and I could be like Dexter's Laboratory, like you, and start. I don't know if you know that show. But.
So basically, we're just exposing that Davrick doesn't know all the orgasms.
I didn't know.
Okay, most men don't. Being honest, being fair, and the only way you would is if you've done this type of work, like I've done.
So, question number 2, then, when women say that they can't have orgasms, and is it a mental, physical? A mental, physical? It's not necessarily the guy, but like a lot of women say, they've been.
It's not the guy.
Okay, so they've been raped, or they've had some emotional damage, mental damage.
Correct. It's sexual shame, number 1.
So most women can't have orgasms?
Most women cannot have. Over 70% of women can only orgasm
Wow.
through clitoral stimulation.
And that's the worst, you
It's
said?
the masculine form. Why do you want to be more masculine as a woman? I don't want to have a clitoral orgasm. If you say, oh, I want to lick you, I'm like, I'm already turned off because I know you're just going to try to sit on my clit for a minute and I'm going to tell you, I'm sorry.
Can I ask you your favorite form?
I prefer oral is for guys personally, I feel, who can't have good sex or have a small penis. And I'm not shaming you for having a small penis. If you do, that's okay. You just need to be you need to be paired with the correct type of
So you think Destiny does oral?
Yeah, Destiny does a lot of oral. But
So,
okay,
well, Destiny says he likes sucking dick with his wife. So
Oh my God, okay.
I just can't.
We just
So
got
for me-
got demonetized. So thanks, Glenn.
You're
I like-
welcome.
You owe me $5.
I'm here all day.
Wait, I was answering his question. I prefer being on top because I can really control what's going on, and not from a control.
That's
but
good. I hate planking. That's
No,
good.
Controlling meaning like, listen, I tell women all the time, stop blaming your man for your inability to orgasm.
See,
Blame yourself, boo.
I'm sorry, but
How can you
do you
expect?
know how fucking hard it is to plank
I-
and do this? You know, and you're caught up in the moment with the adrenaline, and then when you're done, you're like, "Where's the oxygen tank?" And then I
And
hate
a lot
planking.
of women aren't getting you anything. My thing is, darling, if you want an orgasm, boo, you got to work on giving yourself one. And most women have never really explored their body. They're weirded out. They were embarrassed around, oh, I can't let other women see. It's just they're ashamed. I told you, sexual shame is the biggest killer of orgasms. Number 2 is a lot of trauma. And number 3 is not knowing their body. Number 4 would be not exploring their body. Number 5 is not telling their man or showing their man in an appropriate setting how to give them the orgasms they're giving themselves.
Do you think a lot of people get desensitized?
Thank you. You're welcome.
Right on. Shout out to.
Oh, we got a question from the back.
From the back.
Oh,
Where?
Okay.
Hello?
I was like, where's the front?
Okay, so how can a woman educate a man? Let's say, for instance, she's never had one and doesn't know how to correct him to give her
she's
one.
got to read your book.
Okay, so great question. It's Coco, right?
Oh.
So
Somebody got excited.
oops, there we got stuff.
Now,
going
mind you, let me say this real clear here. She gets orgasms. Okay, I'm her husband, and I give her orgasms. This is she's asking for a friend.
on.
Wait.
Asking for
Wait a
friend.
minute.
Listen, and here's a great question, Coco. Thank you for being so brave to ask. Even if it's not for you, it's just a good question. And we
Right.
have to be able to have what I call these adult conversations that no one ever had with us. And
Right.
it's not men's fault. It's not women's fault. No one educated us around sex. People spend money on a lot of things,
Sure.
but on how to be great at, what do you do? Tech company, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And your supplement company. You on podcasting, whatever it is you do, we learn and we spend money on how to get good at things
Sure,
that we want to be
sure.
good at. But no one ever thought about, I don't really know how to have sex. No one tells you. Like, no one teaches you about how to be in a marriage or a good relationship.
Sure.
But I'm just supposed to know how to do it. So to answer a question, the long and short is, I always tell women, do work with me alone first. You got to get to know your body and relinquish shame. Let's work through getting some of that trauma out, that stuck trauma, just getting it out of the body, opening up the hips, opening up the pelvis, breathing right, yoni steaming, using yoni wands, crystal ones, throwing vibrators away. All these things are great. And
Vibrators are bad for women.
very bad. I'll explain that next. Exploring your body and learning to feel good about self-pleasure, not feeling bad about it, so you can have your own orgasms. And then you bring your partner or your man in and say, hey, I've been learning a lot of stuff about my body. You know, we're 30 years old, 40 years old. We've been having sex for a long time, but you probably don't know what I like. And I maybe don't know what you like. Can we have an explore night?
So
And it's people say, like, you know, here's one thing I will say about men. You can't damage their ego with sex. It is very imperative and important that you do this in a good way, which is why I say work with someone who knows how to frame this.
Do you have online courseware?
I do.
So they can do one-on-one video sessions with
I
you.
do. I
And
have
so
online
if-
options.
When we link your
My site
Instagram and your
YouTube
site, we'll link
and
it in the description box.
Yes.
You give that to me. So these women can go on here and they can go take your classes or talk to you one-on-one. There's a program.
They can come
Now-
to I do retreats. So basically I host global lecture retreats. I do one-on-one, which is
You hear that,
obviously-
Coco? She hosts a retreat.
Yeah, we're going to the Maldives in 2 weeks. You guys can come.
You know what? Full disclosure, who did we work with? What was her name? It was like Tia Maria or something like that. That sex therapist that we did all those videos for. We did like the blowjob video and like the
Fun.
what was the other one? Like how to get
That's
in the
on a
mood
different
video.
page.
You're like, don't.
Oh yeah, we still did an ED commercial. It's all on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my main thing is a lot of couples will attend my retreats because I get you for 5 days, 4 nights without distractions, without work, without kids. And it's an immersive process. It's the most economical way to work with me one-on-one.
Do you do couples?
I do couples and singles.
Do you
Both
men
couples,
too?
Couples and singles attend my retreats.
Okay.
My most private clients are men. Men are willing to pay for sex. Women pay for beauty.
Wow.
So my client, it's around 2,000 to work with me one-on-one, just a one session, and men will pay it.
How long is that course? The 2,000.
Oh, that's just one session.
That's one session.
Yeah. So for my 90-day program's around 12 to 15,000.
Okay.
And then my retreats are 7 to 10,000.
I'm in the wrong business.
But I get results. I tell couples, I have couples who are on the verge of divorce. They filed for it. They come to my retreat. I save their marriage. But for you guys at home that maybe that's not available to you, that price point, I have online courses, a men's one for $333. I teach you jelking, how to learn your size.
You teach what?
Jelking.
Okay.
Jelking is basically
That's how you grow your penis.
Correct. There you go.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'm friends with
black.
Sterling Cooper,
that's just
Sterling
one-
Cooper talks about it a
That's
lot.
one of the things I do in the men's course, but it's a personal development intimacy course for men, so
Wow.
they feel better.
I feel so like ignorant to all these terms, right?
And lastly, most important, my favorite group is women. I work masterminds with women. So it's about 5 to 7 women, and we go through 8 weeks, and we work through our sexual archetypes to get women really.
I think you had your first customer back. I'm not being serious. I'm just messing with.
No. I like her. She's great. But yeah, so it's no shame, and I love that she brought that up. And I think the biggest misconception is that we feel like if we express our desires, or if we express our quote inadequacies, which you're not inadequate, there's nothing wrong with your penis, there's nothing wrong with your labia lips, nothing is wrong. You just need to know how to work your body, how your body works and functions, and what is good for you, what feels good to you. And then you need to find a partner that you can pair with. So we talk about the Kama Sutra in my retreats, and it pairs different sizes and shapes of lingams, which is the Sanskrit word for penis, with different sizes and shapes of yonis. So there's 3 sizes of both. So you might think you're small, but you're not small if you're paired with the right size of yoni. And so we dive deep into this. Everything at my retreat, we make it fun and not weird. And it's a sensory experience, and it's unforgettable to change your life. It's my best work.
Well, I just learned a whole bunch of new terms and information. So what's one positive message before we end that you can send out to people? I mean, I think you already did, but is there anything else that you can vote of confidence for individuals that are struggling and they're having a hard time with this?
Yeah, I think I would say for men and women, the message is a little different. For men, the main thing that you understand is that the presence that you cultivate in your life, it spreads over into your penis as well. What do you need to have good sex? You need a hard lingam. And you need to be able to last a long time. We know that men are lasting between 5 and 7 minutes before they climax, and women, it takes them 20 to 40 minutes. So we have the orgasm gap.
That's why I don't want to plank.
Correct. So I would encourage men to be grateful for what you've been given. There's ways to improve your self-confidence by growing in length and girth, all those things, but to work on cultivating presence within yourself. A woman will melt at your presence of yourself and your lingam. And for women, I would say that we have to surrender. There's nothing, I learned this today. He worded it really differently in the hypnotherapy convention. I think it's golden. He said, when I am about to do hypnotherapy in front of the group, I ask for volunteer. People will be like, oh, I could never do that. I can never give up control. And women have this notion that if they give up control, it's something very weak. But the notion that you have control in the first place and you're willing to give it at will, that takes a lot of courage to say, hey, I'm putting my life into your hands. Mm-hmm. I'm putting my body sexually into your hands. Use me as you will.
That sounds good.
And I am here to be your servant in a way, like I want to serve your sexual needs, like you serve, protect, honor, and love myself and my family.
Right.
And I think if women start saying, wow, surrendering to a man and surrendering my body to a man is an extremely courageous thing to do, because you're relinquishing your control, and you had that control in the first place. So to be able to say, hey, I can give it to you, That takes huge courage. It's not a weak thing by any
Is it
means.
liberating?
It is. I love being able to, when I go on a date with a guy, I say, listen, I do not want to make any decisions. I even ask him, what can I wear? And I give them my address right away. Please pick me up. I'm like, and I only say, just please let me know in advance so I can plan for a nanny. Like, I don't want to do anything. And men love it. When a woman does that, then they're like, damn, I want another date with you. I get stalkers. And
Wow.
I have all this XX baggage and a kid.
It's interesting because Dr. Ruth back in the day, a lot of people don't
I
know who
love
she
her.
was.
I
Well,
love her.
she's like, this is the modern day.
I'm the
Have you ever
modern
watched
Dr.
Dr.
Ruth.
Ruth? You ever seen it?
Yeah.
You must first
Yeah,
suck
I
it,
gotta,
cock.
where can I find her content? Is it
Dude,
still on YouTube?
I'm sure you can
I
find
gotta-
it.
I
She was
gotta-
the bomb, man.
Done.
Right on. Well,
Done.
hey, I thank you for coming out. This was
Thanks for
this
having
was
me.
liberating.
It was
What
fun.
was the word? Lingam.
Lingam and Yoni.
So now that I know about Lingam and Yonis,
Yes.
okay, that I'm gonna say hashtag hard lingams. Is that what?
Yes.
And what do you say? Hashtag good Yonis.
Yeah. Moist Yonis.
Most Yonis. Okay.
You know?
Everybody's like, what's that mean?
My thing is yab yum and chill, but you got to attend my retreat to understand
Okay.
what that means.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming
Thank
out.
you for having me.
Make sure you click on her links to her Instagram, her page.
My
Make
website.
sure your website. Make sure you follow her. Make sure you DM her. Ask her anything you want. Subscribe to the channel. Like this video. Share this video. Hit the bell for notification. And we'll see you soon. Remember, this is the only podcast in Vegas where the truth will set you free. Stay strong.
Yay.